And so we have some questions from our studio audience.
Please note that the psychoeducational content provided is only for informational and educational purposes. This does not constitute a form of therapeutic advice or counseling. If you require personalized therapeutic or counseling interventions, it is recommended that you seek the services of a licensed mental health provider. We hope you enjoy this Q&A segment of Nightcap with Nakia.
So the first question for you guys is, what do you wish you had been told about sex when you were younger?
For me, I wish that I would have been told, instead of don't do it, wait. Like, because there's a difference between being told don't do it and then wait, and then giving understanding as to why. Because growing up, I didn't know about soul ties. I didn't know about the emotional damage it could cause to an individual when you are outside the confines of a marriage, outside the will of God, period. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what sex was and why it should be cherished and why it should be it shouldn't be explored until marriage. That wasn't anything that was taught. So if I would have been able to, sit in church and have the pastor talk about, this is why you should wait to have sex. This is why God placed it in me. Like all of the whys behind it, because I'm a millennial, and so we need to know why. What's the purpose behind it? Why are you telling me no as opposed to just do it as I say? So if there was some sort of explanation, because a lot of times if it's not explained to us at church, guess where else we're going to get the information? In the world, from our friends, from some unsafe source of information. So I wish that there was something in the church that would have taught us more about sex as opposed to don't do it.
Do you think, because you said in church, if it's not explained to us in church, and so in a lot of churches it's very taboo to talk about sex. And so my question is, for people who are watching who are parents, and then you guys as parents, what would you tell because you have all girls and one boy, right? So would the message be different, right? And what would you tell your own child? Because the thing is, we sometimes we can't wait on other people, like the church or the school, or So like, what would you advise for parents? And would the message be different? I want Patrick to answer that. Would the message be different? Would you say something different to your girls than you would your son?
I feel like the message would be exactly the same.
Okay.
I know for me, I wish my parents were more, even if it wasn't my parents, I wish there was an adult who would basically be candid and honest with me about what sex was. Because I feel like if you're going to be honest with me, and I know that it's coming from an honest place, I would listen. I would have listened to it more. I would have took heed to it, because I learned from other people's mistakes. That's just who I've always been. So if I see that somebody else went through something bad, I know, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go down that road. I've never been the type that wanted to touch the stove when somebody else told me it was hot. You already told me it's hot. I'm not going to touch it. That's just how I am. So I'm hoping that I would love if my children were like that. I'm starting to see that they're not. So, well, I know for sure.
Right? They don't touch the stove just to see.
I feel like one of them would touch the stove. So I'm grateful that I have Chelsea as my helpmate, because if I knew if I was just leaning on my own understanding, it would be a tough conversation.
Yeah. Children are different.
Very.
Because I know my child would probably touch the stove just to see if it really is hot. Or how hot is it?
I was just checking.
Yeah,
Look, how hot is it? What you mean hot? So the next question is,
we did have premarital counseling.
And it
was good. It wasn't.
It was good. Yeah, it was good for what it was.
Yes.
It was good for
I don't think it was long enough. And now that I look back, there are still a lot of things that we learned in premarital counseling that we still apply. So I don't want to totally just say it wasn't valuable at all. But for me, I wish that they would have hit on subjects such as sex. They just talked about finances, communication.
It was very surface level.
Yes, it didn't go deep.
Level.
And I feel like premarital counseling, anybody that's watching that's looking to get married, wherever you go to get premarital counseling, make sure it's somebody who knows what a successful marriage looks like, first of all. Yep. As a believer, I would say you need to find people who are believers as well, but people that's gonna keep it real. And people that's not afraid to talk about and discuss the taboo topics.
Yeah.
Like to have the conversation, hey, how many times a week do you expect to have sex? From both of them, and have the conversation, because if you don't have those conversations prior to going into your marriage, you're going in with these expectations, and then you got conflict because that person isn't meeting the other expectation and vice versa. So premarital counseling, I believe that it is vitally important to a successful marriage. But also people who are not afraid to go deep and hit the topics that other people are afraid to, or whatever the case is. I feel like I wish we would have been able to have those deeper sessions. But
yeah. I remember when because like you said in your interview, is like, and when you were in college and when those feelings start to come up, nobody told you, what am I supposed to do with this, right? I've been told don't have sex, but like what happens when I'm starting to feel some things? And so I remember, because that was the same message that I received growing up. And so I remember praying. And the thing is, when you say pray, what do I pray? Right? Because my prayer was, Lord, take the desire away. And then I got married. And where was the desire? So, it was just kind of like, wait a minute, now what? So it's like, what if I'm gonna pray about, like, even how do I do that? Because I prayed that the desire, just take it away. And so he was like, okay. And then I get married, and then it's just kind of like, what you touching? What you doing? Like, what am I supposed to do with that? There is no, like, my skin is not tingling like it was before I prayed for this desire to be removed, right? And so I think the thing is having the conversation, knowing what it is. If I'm gonna pray about it, what do I pray?
I'm struggling with the insecurities, and because there was a lot in my mind, there was so much blockage mentally.
Yeah.
And I was taking that into the bedroom. And so my mind was going 100 miles an hour, thinking about everything else except the moment. And so one of the things that I would pray, and it was a part of the process, but I would just pray and I would say, God, awaken my body. God, allow my body to respond to the touch of my husband. God, allow my body to respond to his kisses. Allow my body to respond the way that you designed my body to respond. And I began to pray those prayers. And soon enough, like, I even tell Patrick, I love the way you touch me. And it's been a process over the years. And it's been a work of the Holy Spirit, y'all. And when we keep him involved, it makes it so much easier. Not saying that won't be a challenge, but when I yielded my members to him and began to pray those type of prayers, that's when things begin to shift and change. So my encouragement to any lady, pray that your body will begin to respond to your husband the way that God designed it to respond. And watch how it begins to shift and change.
I like that. And I also like the fact that you shared that with him.
Yep.
Because I think that we don't massage our husbands enough by telling them what it is that we like and what it is that we're fond of. And for you to say, I like the way you touch me, I'm like, come on now, So I think that we have to be more vocal with that, with sharing with our husbands what it is that we like, what it is that they're doing well, what it is that we enjoy, because that's just gonna make them want
puff their chest out and do it a little more.
Puff your chest out, right? Did you puff your chest out? Having pleasure is something that we are supposed to have, and it's okay. Yeah. It is our birthright, right? And I tell my clients all the time, I say, you're responsible for your own orgasm. Like, stop depending on your partner, and if it doesn't happen, then you're good. Like, why you rolling over and you not good?
Yeah. Hello.
Like, it is okay to go back.
Yeah.
Like he said, wake him up in the middle of the night.
Sir, you're not done.
We need to finish this. So,
I don't need to. I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
but thank you guys. I appreciate you guys for joining us tonight. And I thank you guys for joining us tonight.
Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, we kindly ask you to show your support by hitting that like button, subscribing to our channel, and sharing this episode with your friends and family. Your engagement means the world to us, so leave us a comment down below with your thoughts, questions, or suggestions